Hey guys, welcome to A2D. I'm here joined with my friends Brian and Chris. We are going to be recapping the recent Super Bowl that just happened last Sunday. Hey guys, welcome to the show. How you guys feeling?
Good, brother. Good. We got special guest Chris back. How's it going, big dog?
Doing good, man. Doing good, man. Happy to be here with you guys.
Hell yeah. Bringing the little East Coast perspective from the Super Bowl. My man
Midwest
from Ohio.
action.
Yes, sir. My man from Ohio. They had the wrong Ohio team in the Super Bowl, but hey, it's all good, right?
It's not all good. It's not all good.
I have a few questions, man. I can't wait to ask you, but I'll wait for a little later for that. So,
man. But I mean, Super Bowl, that's what we're here. We're going to recap, a few days late. My boy was under the weather a little bit. So, it took us a couple extra days to get here, but it's Wednesday now. The Rams are having their parade today. Parade, whatever you want to call it.
It wasn't a parade, it was a gathering. They were having Bible study out there man,
what the
heck? Boulevard.
But yeah, they're the champs. They earned it. I say that with some hesitancy because to me the refs played a huge part. I don't hate to bring that up right off the gate, but I mean I probably shouldn't, because at the end of the day, Stafford made the plays when needed. McVay made a clutch call on 4th and 1 to get that sweep to Cooper Kupp. So to give them credit where credit is due, Aaron Donald made the play, even though he's offsides on 4th and 1. But but I mean the plays were made, right? So you got to give
leave it up to the refs, man. Can't leave it up to
Stafford. Stafford had one of the most impressive quarterback playoff runs in recent memory, to be honest with you. He went toe to toe with the GOAT. He beat the Niners after losing to them 6 times in a row. And then he outdueled Joe Burrow, man. So credit to Matthew Stafford. It's been a long time coming for him. He earned it, But, man, like I said, the officiating, they were letting him go. I know the Rams fans are probably going to be like, oh, Ramsey got offensive pass interference. He did, for sure. Mm-hmm. But he also held Higgins in the first quarter. They were letting him play back and forth. The refs were letting him play the whole game. And at the end, they get tight. So that's why I just kind of like it. Just keep it consistent the whole game. If you're going to let him play in the first quarter, let him play in the fourth quarter. That's kind of my only 2 cents, like I said, about the refs. But you're going to hear a lot about that from the Bengals fans, I'm sure. But Rams fans are probably like, shut your mouth. We earned it. And they did. 23-20 final score, 3-point game, just like every other game in the playoffs this year, it seems like. So it was a good game at least. So at least we got that going.
All playoffs, man. All the playoffs, I think, were good. We had every game almost decided by under a touchdown, multiple decided by a fucking field goal. And Stafford finally, he got some weapons, and look what he did. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he hasn't always had them, but he had weapons.
And they went down, bro. It was crazy. OBJ went down. He lost Woods earlier. The tight ends were out. Mm-hmm. And Stafford, did you see him twist his ankle?
Yeah.
He rolled his ankle.
Him and Burrow got hurt.
Dude. And he kept going. That dude is tough as nails. So like I said, credit to Matthew Stafford. He went and got that.
Yeah, the run that Cooper Kupp had this year, we've been talking about on the show. We've been talking about it for the last 10 weeks.
Where's your jersey?
It's a hang in the closet. Don't you worry about that. I don't really want to be connected to Rams fans today because they're kind of embarrassing the NFL today. So no, but going back to Cooper Kupp, man, and this guy should have won MVP in my book. I think he only had one. He only had one vote for him, and it was the guy who was salty at Aaron Rodgers. But he had probably the greatest receiving season in history, postseason included. So and that goes to Cooper Kupp, not Jerry Rice, not Calvin Johnson, any guys that you want to name. Cooper Kupp just had the best season out of any receiver in football ever. You look at his playoff run. He had 4 games. He averaged over 100 yards a game. I think he had like something ridiculous, like 30 something catches in 4 games. And then he had 475 yards and 6 touchdowns. So
good call on that Super Bowl MVP, by the way, brother.
Yeah, man. I that could have really went either way. That's usually a quarterback award.
No, he earned it though, because it was him. Stafford was going
especially
to him.
Not getting the MVP.
Yeah.
Like he deserved it for sure. By far.
Now you mentioned OBJ going out. I really think in the final moments that was especially the routes they were running, that little fade route they were running, that probably would have been an OBJ route that they probably would have been targeting, all season long. That probably would have been a spot where they would have went to him. But because that was Cooper Kupp, he got the second touchdown. Yeah, he got MVP. Well-deserved. That guy, I mean, you listen to his acceptance speeches when he won the Offensive Player of the Year award. I mean, you just root for this guy. You hear about a story with his wife and how his wife just backed him through everything. I hear about this guy I love. So
very football intelligent too. He's very, very intelligent.
I will fly his colors in my closet, and I'm not ashamed to do so. Now you talk about the penalties. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that could go either way. Hey, it should have been called. Hey, it shouldn't have been called. We can argue about that till we're blue in the face. Fact of the matter is, it wasn't called. I do believe the Logan Wilson. I do believe he was tugging on him a little bit.
That was a bad call. That was a bad call.
Is
the next
it
one
something that you
like I said, if you let it go in the first quarter, you got to let it go there because there was no tug, there was no jersey pull, there was no nothing. You saw T. Higgins, Ramsey was yanking on his jersey, fully extended. There was none of that. His hands were on him, placed perfectly. That's how you play it. You put your hands on their hips, you turn, you play the ball, and then you back it down.
The play right after was clear.
Logan Wilson, 55 on the Bengals, played his ass off. That dude was stuffing the run.
That guy's a baller too.
Passes. He is a baller. He is a young baller. That Bengals defense, man, they rebuilt it through free agency. We'll get into free agency next week, but you can build through free agency and look what happened with them, dude. They were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they can trip that offensive line, dude, and give Joe some time. They're going to be deadly, and it sucks to admit that being a Browns fan, dude. They're going to be deadly. Wow. Joe's good, man. He's composed for being so young. He really is.
Dude, that outfit. Let's talk about that outfit for a second that he showed up to the Super Bowl. And I mean, there was one Broadway Joe in the history of football. I think he has a run for his money. I know that he doesn't play in New York, but man, this guy is nice. He's got some swag, dude. I think that entire team has some swag, man. Their kicker has swag.
You saw him at the end of the game too when he got the ball. Once the Rams scored, he was like, okay. He was like, don't trip. I got this, dude. He was ready. And man, 4th and 1, where Aaron Donald was offsides and got that sack. You saw Jamar Chase just roasting Ramsey. And he was beat. He had Ramsey on the ground. That game could have been had. So Joe, the play before, he got Jamar Chase beat him up the sideline too. So man, if they can, like you said, Chris, if they can protect him, which they will, they have to. We saw how Andrew Luck retired early. You already heard those comparisons. And that they're not going to let that happen. If they have to use every draft pick, they have cap space. Whatever they have to do,
free agency.
I'm sure they'll do.
If you got to go free agency, not even waiting for a rookie.
Yeah, they got Teron Armstead, the left tackle on the Saints. He's a really good left tackle. He's Ryan Jensen, the center on the Buccaneers. There's 2 free agents right there. Boom, plug those guys in. You get some draft picks at guard, and and they're off and running. So they can do it, and I fully expect them to do it. You saw 2 years ago, Patrick Mahomes running for his life in the Super Bowl. Yeah, and what did they do? Exactly, Michael. What did they do? They got Orlando Brown.
It's crazy.
They did everything they could to protect Mahomes, and Mahomes just made it through the whole year. So I fully expect the Bengals to do that and them to be back. The only thing about the AFC, man, you got some badass teams out there, man, with the Bills, Chiefs, and even maybe them Chargers. Justin Herbert, if they can get some better coaching, Staley, then
defense. Defense is a big question mark.
And there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of movement with coaches and stuff like that too. There's a lot of rumors already kind of starting to fly around. So that AFC might even get stronger next year. So I know you were, I mean, you talk about Justin Herbert, man. That guy's just only going to get better. If that's a team, like if they can put it together, that's a really scary team too. So I don't know if Herbert has the swag and has that. I don't know if you believe in him coming into like the final 2 minutes, like maybe a Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes, but he's getting there for sure. And he's got the arm talent.
A good point, because that's the difference right there. The talent, all the talent's there, but we've seen Joe Burrow now, and we've seen Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in these situations. And honestly, Patrick Mahomes kind of choked it up last time we saw him, but Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, these guys are coming. So the AFC, Chris, sorry, buddy. AFC is going to be tough, man.
I mean, we could talk about Baker for a second if you want to. I don't know if you want to.
I got a stance. My stance is always going to say we can get an upgrade, go for the upgrade. I don't want a rookie in there again. That's all I'll say about that situation. I don't want to go back to rookie. That's it. We get an upgrade, go for it.
And you guys won't. You guys have a roster that's ready to win, and so there's no way. Similar to us, like we're not gonna go for the young route. We got some rosters that are ready to go, but that's kind of like next. That we'll get into that more next week with free agency special. We got the Rams and the Bengals, the Rams Super Bowl champs. We talked about Matthew Stafford a little bit and how he went on a crazy, impressive run in this playoffs. What do you guys think? Is he a Hall of Famer?
I mean, he's top 15 in like every category. I think so. I know Sherman's
top 12. He's actually, I think, top 12.
Yeah, well, I just put that in there for like, he's top 15, top 10 in a couple in like two categories. But Sherman's talking all that shit. I think he is. I know it's a passer happy league, like he says, but I think he is. I mean, what he did in Detroit, even without anybody there, I think.
I actually go. Oh, my bad, Mike. Go ahead.
No. I mean, because you're going to talk about stats. He was on a really bad team for such a long time, and they just never gave him help. The only receiver he really ever had down there was Calvin Johnson.
Right.
I mean, he never had a run game, never had an offensive line.
He got Kenny Galladay a contract.
Yeah, he never. I mean, but he was the one that got Galladay a contract. It wasn't the other way around.
Exactly.
He didn't have an offensive line, didn't have a defense, and never had a head coach. This guy, he's sitting at 15th, or I think he's 49,000. He's right at like a 50,000 yard mark or something like that for his career. And I mean, he's like 5 yards away. And now he just won a Super Bowl. Yes, he was on a star-studded team to do it, but you know what? First time he had a chance to make a Super Bowl. I mean, he took his team the entire way. Didn't do anything to discourage it. I mean, he helped his team win the Super Bowl. I think Matt Stafford, I don't think he's cemented right now. Give me 3 more years.
Right.
And I think he'll be a shoo-in. I think he'll be a no doubt Hall of Famer, especially with how, they kind of let anybody, you talk about anybody with a Hall of Fame. Like you're talking Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, like those guys are in, Hall of Fame.
Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, DeMarcus Ware, Rondé Barber. These are guys that aren't in, that have just got voted out.
Yeah.
So I mean, they don't just let anybody in. And sorry, you kind of just teed it up for me right there. I had to jump in, but to me, it's a no. Right now, it's a easy no. He's got 1 Pro Bowl, no All Pros. He's never been regarded as the best. I understand the run he just went on is impressive. The talent has been there. I think he's still like however many games below 500 as a starter. So to your point, Michael, these 3 years can change that. The Super Bowl, that just put him in the conversation at least. Before
he's on the road is if he ends today, obviously.
Now he's up in that mix. So I think that if he keeps it up and he has a couple more years where they're in the playoffs or at least winning a lot of games more than they're losing, then yeah, he can get in. He's on the right track. He doesn't have to win another Super Bowl. I don't think that's the standard. But if he makes the playoffs 3 more times and wins a few more playoffs games, then I think because the numbers are going to just keep going. And he's might be top 6, top 7 when he's done. So by that time, if he's got the wins to go with the stats, then he'll
his
be
comebacks are huge too. I think his comebacks, man. If you look at the games he's came back in, man, his composure in those comebacks, those were big. I think that's big.
Yeah.
He looked like a Hall of Famer in those comebacks. You know what I mean?
And the one thing that's not going to show up on the stats is his toughness, man. Like there's times where this guy goes in with like torn rotator cuffs and shit and plays through them, like stuff like I brought up Phillip Rivers as somebody who I kind of put him in the same category as
100%
right now.
Yeah,
because Phillip Rivers never won that championship, but that guy would go out there. It doesn't matter what was going on with his body. He'd go out there, put it on the line, and he'd perform, for 15 years. And Matt, he's at the point to where 12 years, he's net. Richard Sherman, I've never liked this guy. He just he likes to run his mouth a little bit, but you know what? He did make
some good points.
He did make a good point. The fact that he's never been the best quarterback he never won an MVP. He's never been the top guy ever.
Yeah.
And I understand
1 Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I understand.
Mac Jones been to a Pro Bowl. Jameis Winston's been to a Pro Bowl.
So the reason why I don't like the Pro Bowl thing is because you know what? The same thing with the MVP. Like Aaron Rodgers does not deserve MVP this year. Why? Because it was voted on 50, brain dead fucking sports writers. Like, who gives a shit what they have to say? Like, but then it was going to go on to fan voting. It should come from either the players, or it should come from the owners, or it should come from somebody within the league.
Anything, right?
It shouldn't come from these sports writers that are, spread across the country that, who cares? Who cares what they like? The same thing with the All-Star game for basketball. Like, who gives a shit? Like, who the fans are voting?
I think it's just a bias thing. They don't want to do it because of bias.
It's like they're scared almost to go out on the limb a little bit. Let's just, whatever team had the best record, who's the quarterback of that team, you're the MVP. And
that's what we were talking about, the Super Bowl, maybe waiting till after the Super Bowl just for MVP. It doesn't have to be every single, award, but just for MVP to see what that, that player that's up for MVP did in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. That shit should count. I mean, it should mean something. You know what I mean? And Rodgers played one playoff game and lost it after winning the MVP. One game.
Yeah, got outscored by special teams.
By the Cinderella team. I'm not saying the Niners weren't good and they were better than the record. Everyone knows that. But, I mean, one and done.
By special teams.
Now, before we go down that rabbit hole, now they do vote on that. So every sports writer has to seal a vote after. So they don't even look at the playoff games. Now, I believe they should.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
they don't. So they seal their vote. Yeah, they seal their vote after the playoffs, and then it's only revealed right before the Super Bowl. So they don't even take into account how poorly he played in that game, how poorly he always plays in the NFC Championship game. They don't take that into account, and they should. You look at Cooper Kupp and the run he just went on. I mean, he just made Aaron Rodgers' playoff, this year look terrible. Jonathan Taylor and the show he put on. If you're going to talk about how great of somebody was for their team this year, he's another guy that you should have brought in the conversation.
When was the last time we've seen a running back season like that one?
Yeah,
and
Adrian Peterson. Yeah, Emmett, Barry Sanders, like those are the guys you can ever bring into that conversation.
An all-time great season for sure.
And the fact that it was unexpected, no one, I'm not saying we didn't expect him to be good, but to be that fucking good, my God.
But Cooper Kupp just had the best season. I mean, I would even argue the best season as a
non-quarterback.
Even if you go the 16-week route, I still think he had a better season than Calvin Johnson did back in what was that, 2007?
Receiver-wise, for sure. Receiver-wise,
right. I still think he had a better year. He won the
crown, man.
Yeah,
and you won a Super Bowl and you won Super Bowl MVP. You got to give that. I think that tops it. That's what
got one.
It was edge, and then that goes to it. I think that puts him a little over it.
But he got one vote for MVP. It was because some guy didn't like Aaron Rodgers. Is that's the only reason he got a vote? Like, that's bullshit. They need to change that, because these MVPs are going to be, who gives a shit who wins MVP?
I mean, speaking of Hall of Fame, they could have Hall of Famers be the board. I think that would be a good way. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, because these guys are like Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp. They're having all-time seasons. Was Aaron Rodgers or even Tom Brady, who was first and second in the MVP, were they all-time seasons?
Impressive,
they're
but
really
not all
good
time.
seasons.
Yeah.
They're not all-time seasons. When you have an all-time type season like Cooper Kupp, and speaking of Cooper Kupp, I actually have this question down here. Is he do you guys regard him as one of the, because we know I'm sure we're all in agreement that he just had the best receiver season in history, right? As far as an individual season, but all time, is he an all-time great receiver?
Again, we got to give more time. I think more time, but so far right now he's the best or top 3 in the league.
So I was actually thinking about this long and hard. I thought about this for probably 30 minutes to myself today. Literally, I just thought about this. And then I even think I wrote on Facebook, he definitely rose the ranks this year, and faster than anybody's ever rose the ranks before. Now, he's been a very good receiver, and it took, you look at Jerry Rice. He always needed that top quarterback too. He always played with Steve Young, Joe Montana. He needed that guy to be Jerry too. Like, if he didn't have those guys, I mean, you're looking at a very, very good receiver, a Hall of Fame receiver, but maybe not the best of all time.
Right.
So for Cooper now to kind of jump that way into it, he needs to play with somebody like Matt Stafford or whoever he's going to play with after this. If Matt, I mean, I'm sure Matt's coming back.
They're going to have a little 3-year window where they're going to be playing together at least.
He was with Goff beforehand. I think he is that guy that can play with any quarterback. I think he's that good. I mean, look what he did with
He was good with Goff too. Don't get me wrong. He was good. He wasn't elite with Godwin.
Before he went down, though, before his injury, I mean, you think about how many games he missed with injury, too. I mean, he could even, I mean, his numbers would be even higher. I mean,
that fool tried to come back with a torn ACL, too.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a different breed, man. Like he
started off good in that season, too. Even that season, he started off well before he got injured for the last 9-10 games of the season. There was a lot of games left.
Same thing, like I said, you give this guy 2 or 3 more years, he's definitely going to put himself in the conversation. He's like, you know, there's still some people with Tom Brady, like they don't want to give him that Joe Montana ring yet, which, you know, guys like we have because we've watched him his entire career. Like the old timers don't really want to put him in the Jerry Rice conversation. It will lead to debate and all that kind of stuff. But you give Cooper Kupp 2 or 3 more of these seasons, and you can't deny the guy. I mean, he's already had the greatest receiving. If he does it 2 or 3 more times in his career, yeah. I mean,
no one's doubting potential with Cooper Kupp. I don't think you're a madman if you're doubting potential with Cooper Kupp for sure.
Call me a madman. I mean, I'm not going to doubt him, but to me, he's not an all-time great. I know he had the best season ever, and if he continues to do it, but if they bring OBJ back, they get Robert Wood back, they get Higbee back, like he's the most targeted guy by far. He had the best season by far. He's one of the best slot guys by far. But if you're bringing up freaking Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, even like today, Devontae Adams, there are guys that you take over him. You know,
that's not fair.
I'm not putting him in that category yet. Not yet.
You know,
he's obviously a Julian Edelman on steroids. You know, he's the best at what he does. He's the best slot guy. But to me, he's not the best receiver in the game. I'll take Devontae over him. No problem.
Top 3, though. Is he top 3?
Oh,
if I had to sign Chris Godwin or Cooper Kupp right now, I'm signing Chris Godwin.
Yeah,
he's bigger,
that's
stronger.
Fandom. That's just fandom in your eyes, man.
I go
that's
Cooper.
Terrible.
I go Cooper Kupp. He's just so smart, man. He's just so smart, and dude. I mean, I think the biggest thing too you look at, and we were talking about OBJ.
I guess I said the wrong name. Devontae. I'll take Hopkins.
I would take Cooper Kupp.
Hopkins
I take Cooper Kupp over anybody.
Before the season started, maybe everyone probably would have been like, "Oh yeah, we'll take Hopkins over him before the season started." I don't know about now.
The only person that I would even consider putting in that bracket would be Devontae Adams. Is the only person I think I'm putting in that bracket.
I still think Devontae just by an edge is still better, but Cooper can take that over next season. Cooper can definitely take that over next season.
I just think tomorrow,
dude, just stone plays and just breaking him down at the end, and the dude just knows what he's doing.
Yeah, but even like throwing up a fade, they have OBJ for that. You don't he's got to win on a quick out. Like he's not physically imposing.
But when OBJ went out,
call me a homer.
He doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be.
I'll take other guys.
But what about when OBJ went out and pure focus is on Cooper Kupp and he still did work? That's the crazy part. That fool went out and
on the last drive he did. On the last drive,
when it mattered.
But they only scored 23 points and he was shut down. If they don't call that weak ass call at the end, then it's a different story. That should have been 4th and goal on the 8.
Yeah, I mean, how that game turned out. Can't leave it up to the refs. It sucks. Those were terrible calls, game-changing calls. I agree, but it sucks if you can't leave it up to the refs. You got to score more points to it before that ever happened.
We all
know we've all been a part of it before.
The linebacker locked that up.
He did. Hey, that was a bad call.
Well, Logan Wilson. I mean,
I agree with you.
I've been talking about Logan Wilson since before even the playoffs started. And, we watched him that Tennessee game and how he fucking balled in that Tennessee game. He had like 4 or 5 picks as a linebacker or this. And he's one of those hybrid guys, man. He's more than just a linebacker. But, you asked where you put Cooper Kupp right now. No, I do not put him in the top 10 or 15 of all time. I don't think that's fair for him. Because
it's too early. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's not fair. I do put him, honestly, I'll put him in the Calvin Johnson range. I'll put him in those guys who were destructive. You
can say he's in the best slot receivers of all time. If not already, honestly.
Yeah, but he does more than play the slot, man. He does. He'll play outside too. I mean, it's not fair to call him a slot receiver. He is an elite receiver now.
Right. But that's where he does his work. That he comes in and blocks. I know what he does. I'm fully aware. But there are other guys that just bring a little bit more. Like you can just throw it up to them that they just cannot be covered one-on-one at all. I'm not saying his hands aren't one-on-one can cover Kupp either, but they have a chance.
I think his route running is up there with maybe the best of all time. His route running for sure is up there. The hands sometimes
like a primetime Darrelle Revis. How Randy Moss was able to beat Revis. You think of prime Darrelle Revis? You think Cooper Kupp is gonna get on that?
He finds ways to get open. I don't know. It's hard. That's hard. Darrelle Revis is Darrelle Revis. He's good, but he does find ways. He's real crafty, dude. He's
that's a hard.
See, I know I'm nitpicking, and I know I probably come off as a hater.
Where Darrell had issues was these little shifty guys, man. I mean, he would ball up with Randy Moss and all these guys, like, with these physical guys all day long because he knew what he to expect. When Cooper Kupp's running 5 different directions on one route, him, guys like Hunter Renfrow, like these guys are changing how routes are ran in the game, and these corners haven't caught up yet.
And Cooper's a little bigger than those shifty small guys too. He's a little bigger, so it even helps.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's bigger than Wes Welker
after the catch too.
Oh yeah.
Besides Debo, he's probably the best after the catch. I'd throw Godwin in the mix. Whatever, call me a homer, whatever you want.
I call it.
He's right, dude. After the catch,
that bet that I made, man, and I would have won that fucking bet. Don't get me wrong. I like Chris Godwin. You know how I feel about Chris Godwin. And I stood up for Chris Godwin before this year over Debo, over everybody else, because I do think he's that good. But, there's some things right now that I question, and, health is one of them. Is he going to be able to stay healthy, whether, he's broken his hand, whether I know he got targeted, man.
Consistent. He had one blown out ACL off a dirty ass hit. Other than that, dude's a fucking absolute dog. He's played every year.
He missed 4 games the previous year with a hand.
He's not as good of a route runner, but you could throw him a fade. He's more multi-dimensional. He blocks just as good. I'll take him any day.
Hey, Cooper Kupp, dude, that guy blocks too. So if you're going to put him in that, you're going to put him in that echelon, man. You got to know where you come from.
Godwin's just a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger.
Right.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he's a bigger guy. He's a different kind of receiver. He's a bigger guy. If you're going to ask me who's going to have more production next year, I mean, that's the thing is production. You put Godwin on the Rams. I still think Cooper Kupp would outproduce him.
And Cooper Kupp's numbers come way down if he's playing with Mike Evans.
Well, he was playing with Robert Woods and OBJ.
Kinda.
What do you mean, kinda? And he was playing with Van Jefferson.
One went down, and then the other one was getting worked in. Like they weren't. It's not like they were ever at full strength all the way. And then when they were, OBJ just was starting to get off.
But even without,
I'm not going to knock Chris Evans because I like Chris Godwin. I like Chris Godwin because I think
Captain America.
He's a top 10 guy too. So I mean, I would take him too. But right now, what we just saw. You can't keep disrespecting the guy. He is the best player in the league right now. The only other one I would talk about would be Devontae Adams. But dude, he's
a better receiver. Devontae is a better receiver.
Okay. I still put Devontae up there. I put Cooper Kupp right below Devontae, but I put Devontae right there and Cooper right there.
All you Rams fans, come at me. I know you call me a hater all you want. Whatever. I don't even care. Aaron Donald. Speaking of the Rams, we'll keep it on that. Aaron Donald. He made some waves in the news with his retirement speech. What do you guys make of that?
Not buying it.
Not speech. I shouldn't say retirement speech. Retirement talk. There's some retirement talk going on.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk because every year I have those thoughts of, man, do I want to do fantasy football for one more year? I know this is a little bit different. But it's like, you decompress, man. You're sitting there, you're enjoying the moment, you're decompressing, and you're like, oh man, like either you win it and you're like, fuck, let's go out on a big note, or you lose it and you're like, man, can I do this again? Like, can I go through this again? And I'm telling you right now, come spring training or summer camp, come OTAs, this guy's going to be itching to get on the field, and he's going to be there. And he even said at the parade today, he goes, we're going to run it back. 100% in my mind, he'll be back. It's one of those things that people say, like, I don't even fully think that Brady's gone. Like, that's how I feel. Like, when come September, if they're not in uniform, I'll believe it. But these guys are football players. They are that is who they are. It's in their DNA. And when you're talking about the greatest of all time, they're going to want to come back. And Aaron Donald's what, 34 years old, 33 years old, if that. I mean, he's not even that old.
Yeah, I don't think he's even that old.
Yeah,
30. He's 30 years old.
I think he's
yeah,
29.
he's been playing for like 9 or 10 years.
Yeah, just turned 30. He just turned 30. He's 30. I mean, at least 2 more years, and then
and he's just that dominant. And we're going to see what happens. Excuse me. You're going to see what happens with, if Von Miller comes back, and if they're going to piece the defense together, and how dominant they're looking to be. If they're going to run it completely back, there ain't no way that guy's going to walk away from the game.
If he does, though, is it the greatest defensive career of all time to start and finish? I mean, fuck. I hate saying that. Addison's probably listening. And
X's and O's. Okay, X's and O's. Yes. X's
every year all pro.
How he played the position. Yes. Now his accolades, no. But
I saw this thing
pro
today.
every year.
Yeah, Reggie. Yeah, but it's too short. Reggie White has like 16 Pro Bowls compared to his 8 or whatever it is. His sacks are almost double.
Oh yeah.
Like there's for the longevity. Is Barry Sanders the best running back of all time?
People don't talk about Patrick Willis. If you want to compare it too, Patrick Willis is an All-Pro every year, and nobody talked about him as the best ever, and he was the All-Pro. So I can see where that goes with that.
It's almost like the Barry Sanders versus Emmett Smith kind of debate. Like which guy, because that's going to be the thing about Aaron Donald is you can't debate what he's done. And since he's been here in the NFL, he's been dominant. He's been the best player. He's been the best defensive player that these eyes have ever seen. So, when you look up Lawrence Taylor and you look up Reggie White and you look at some of these guys' numbers and what they've done, they have a lot more of these stats, But it's kind of like the Barry Sanders thing. To me, Barry Sanders is the best running back. I didn't really watch him, but when you check tape and you see all the highlights, it's like, holy shit. How can you deny like the hardest? Yeah, exactly. So, and Aaron Donald, if he were to hang him up now, he could be in that conversation. But it's hard to put him over Reggie White because Reggie has a Super Bowl too. Reggie was there. Lawrence Taylor, played. Lawrence Taylor rushed. He also played in coverage. Lawrence Taylor was like Micah Parsons on steroids. So it's. To me, it's. I'm not gonna just say Aaron Donald is that yet. He needs to stick around a few more years and just keep doing what he's been doing. If he does what he doesn't have to do anything crazy. Just keep doing what you've been doing, and then he'll get there. But to me, I still have probably those two ahead of him. But I mean, however you slice it, 1A, 1B, 1C, those are the top 3.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, it's really tough to like make comparisons like that only because those guys played for 16 years. He's only been in for 9. I mean, so like when you talk about accolades or Super Bowls or anything that you want to get into, he doesn't really have a fighting chance because he hasn't played as long, so number one. So you talk about Barry Sanders versus Emmett Smith. I go purely with that debate. I mean, we can talk about that until the cows come home. You look at averages per year that they played. Barry Sanders smacks him every day of the week.
On the team that he played for too. Right.
He was on a worse
team.
Not
behind the Dallas offensive line.
Didn't have that quarterback, didn't have those receivers, and he did what he did. There's no debate who the best running back of all time is. And that's coming from a Vikings fan who had to play against the Lions and also had a guy named Adrian Peterson who's on, I don't think he's in the top 3, but he's up there too. But Barry Sanders, man, if you just said you didn't watch him, well, I grew up on him. He's my favorite football player of all time, and he's a Lion. That guy, to me, he's the best football player to live.
Yeah, a lot of people retiring early to avoid CTE.
Deion Sanders. Prime time.
Avoid CTE.
Prime time, man, but Barry was different, dude. He was different.
Right. So that's a conversation for another day. But I mean, we all agree Aaron Donald's all-time great. Stick around, AD. You got a few more seasons, and like he said at the parade today, to your point, Michael, it sounds like he is going to run him back. But he's the 30th ranked defensive player on the highest paid defensive player list. 30th.
Oh, that's going to change.
Aaron Donald. That needs to change. That's going to entice him to come back. So they're gonna pay him. I feel like they're going to pay Von Miller. OBJ, I think he's going to take a discount. OBJ will be back. So I fully expect those guys to, for the most part, running back. Andrew Whitworth and Eric Weddle or like the guys that they're losing. But other than that, they're getting Robert Woods back. They're getting Tyler Higbee back. They're going to get a healthy OBJ towards the end of the year, maybe. So
They get
I think
Robert
the
Woods
Rams are
back with
gonna
that
be
whole
back.
team. They're going to be the favorite. I think they're the favorite. If
Out of the
they
NFC.
keep Robert Woods, with that mix, I mean, that's crazy to have all three of those guys. That'll be.
I think that, and like I was saying, I think they all say OBJ already said he's going to take a discount. Like no one's going to offer him money because the ACL just
Right.
got torn again. So he wants to be in LA. They're going to have Woods coming back sooner. They have Higbee and Cup there, so they
Three
got
top
three
receivers.
running backs. So they can get a replacement for Whitworth. It's not like he was the old Whitworth anyway and just dominating. He was just an average at best left tackle anyway. So they're going to be able to replace that, I feel. And they ain't going anywhere, man. They're going to be in contention next year. Speaking of that, which team do you guys think is more likely to make a return to the Super Bowl, if any?
Well, I want to piece that up real quick because it's all going to – we haven't talked about this yet. It's all going to depend on Sean McVay. So Sean McVay is, talking about stepping away.
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either because I think Sean McVay, dude, this guy, how much praise I have for Sean McVay. But, I do believe in family too. I believe family comes first over anything. And I believe he's one of those guys that does too. So, I mean, if he decides to take a year away, like good on him, like that's something that's really hard to do for someone who's that successful. But you're talking about OBJ, he's going to come back. Well, that's going to be if McVay's calling the shots next year. You're talking about if Von Miller's going to come back. All these guys are going to come back. So that's really going to depend on if Sean McVay's there or not. I mean, he was kind of the one that brought all those guys in. So I think he'll be there. So I do think they run it back. I think they're going to have a very similar team than what they have this year. But, it's going to depend on if Sean McVay is how serious he is about – taking some time off of football, man. That kind of shocked me a little bit when I started hearing that news, but it's gonna depend on him. That's.
What do you think, Chris? You buying any of this McVay?
No, I don't. I don't know if he's on a contract year or not. Or I think people get emotional when they win Super Bowls and then they start talking about shit that's a little, out of the realm. So I think Rams and Bills next year, though. I do. I'd love for my team to be there, but I think Rams and Bills to me are the favorites on both sides. I think the Bills just lost that game with the Chiefs, man. That was back and forth. They just didn't have the ball last. That is what it is. But I think Rams and Bills are top on both sides as long as the Rams keep their shit. So
that was my Super Bowl this year, man.
Right, a coin toss, and who knows how that game turns out in Buffalo. So I kind of agree with you on the Buffalo point. The Rams, though, I think McVay. Was that a motivational thing for him and Aaron Donald? Because I ain't buying any of that crap. Either of these guys are about to walk away from it, But they were even saying it before the Super Bowl happened. There was talks and rumors about it. They asked him, are you going to be back? He said, "We'll see." Doesn't sound like a guy that's 100% sure. To Michael's point, family can sway a guy. Look at Tom Brady. I don't think he really wants to walk away, but that family's over there pulling him over there and they're kind of forcing them is what it seems like, so they can have an impact. And who knows, each household is different. So I'm not even going to get into that. But to me, they're all coming back. I see them running it back. I think the entire, other than Whitworth and Weddle, the older guys, I think they're all coming back. They're not going to have much draft picks. So it's just going to be run it back. They're going to hope to stay healthy, get everyone back. And
check the Weddle, man. Coming out of retirement to come get a Super Bowl real quick. That's pretty fucking crazy.
And it's not like, and I know I've seen some Weddle haters. I'll give the Rams their little love on this one because he was calling plays, man. It's not like he just came and was riding the bench and doing his thing. He led
the team in tackles through the playoffs.
Exactly.
He on his couch and then he said, "Let me go help my team out to win a Super Bowl real quick. I'll be back."
That's see that crazy picture of like his bicep and his ribs or his pec or whatever it was that got all bruised up, messed up. Like he
tore his pectoral. He played 3 quarters. That game with a torn pectoral.
He went to all blue and black. Joe Mixon, man, that's a thick dude to try to tackle him with your arms. That's kind of shit that happens. So, but I mean, credit to him. He didn't even come out. He was not to be denied. Those guys, him and Stafford, they played through some injuries. These veterans, man, they wanted that shit and they earned it. So, yeah, they got it.
Now you talk about the team between the Bengals and the Rams that I think have a better chance of making it back next year. I'm going to say the Rams only because I think the conference is weaker. And that's really the only reason. We haven't talked enough about what Joe did in the playoffs. I mean, yes, he lost his Super Bowl. He did not lose this game. Yes, you talk about the bad calls, whatever, but he played a pretty good game from what I saw. And, there was a couple of no calls on Higgins and all that kind of shit, but he still played his heart out. And I think he's the kind of kid that will make it back at some point. You saw Dan Marino make a comment like, oh, yeah, hey, man, I remember my first Super Bowl. I never made it back. I don't think Joe's that guy. I think Joe will make it back. I really do.
Agree.
And
I think around him on the offensive side for sure.
I think he's that guy. I really do. You talk about Josh Allen in Buffalo. I think Josh Allen's that guy. I think Patrick Mahomes, he was that guy. Is he going to be that guy again? I mean, I don't know.
I don't doubt Mahomes. You've seen what he did against the Bills. He's going to have, have some guys are better someday.
He did against the Bengals, though. Look, the Bengals, I mean, he threw a pick 6 to Eli Apple, who's getting all kinds of praise right now.
Oh, man.
And Eli Apple dropped it. So, and then the
donkey of the day.
Where
he's the scapegoat, man.
Makes a play. He throws it into double coverage the very next play. So
why? And we can all agree on this. Eli Apple was a saint. That's why he played so poorly in the Super Bowl. We can all agree on that.
That dude's been all over the place, and he didn't, man. He didn't. He got beat by Cooper Kupp. I mean, like everybody else.
Yeah.
So the Bengals defense actually played really damn good in that game, dude. The defense played good. Damn officiating. I'm not going to keep bringing that up, but yeah. So you guys think? I kind of agree with you, Michael, because like you said, the competition, plain and simple. In the NFC, there's just so many question marks. Aaron Rodgers could be going to the AFC. A lot of Broncos fans are hoping, crossing their fingers, hoping he goes over there. So NFC Tom Brady could be gone. Could be. We'll see. We'll see what's up with him. Right now, it seems like it is. So the NFC could be a lot weaker. So based on that alone, I agree with you on that. I think the Rams are more likely. The AFC, between those three that you just mentioned, man, they're going to be in a dogfight for the next 10, 15 years to see who gets out of there. And it's going to be on these GMs to see how they attack these off seasons and protect these guys, surround these guys, because you got the guys you need, obviously. Help them out. Build a defense. Build the offensive line. Protect Joe, because you saw Jamar running wide open. If you get an offensive line, you got some better officiating crew. You never know how that game turns out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could see the Bengals getting back too. I mean, you could
give the Bengals credit.
Yeah, you could see them
drafted really
going
well
to the gauntlet that they just did. I mean, they dispatched the number 1 seed with King Henry back. I mean, all the people, that game was almost a trap game. I mean, I was talking about Tennessee would not being a team you want to play going into the playoffs because they can run the ball down your throats.
And their defense stepped up big.
Yeah.
10, 15 games.
But yeah, I mean, Joe and McPherson and that they found a way to win that game. And after that game, everybody kind of took a step back and says, this might be a team that people might be scared of, because you just saw what they did to the Chiefs, 2 weeks prior to that. You saw what they were already capable of. Then they won a nasty game in Tennessee. And then you started seeing, Joe Burrow kind of life a little bit, and you're like, uh-oh. So if that kind of stuff happens next December, when you start seeing him, pick his game up a little bit, they're going to make their offensive line better. They have a pretty good running back. They have all the skill positions in the world. So if they can protect Joe, like you said, I would not be surprised if they're back next year, and it's going to come down to who plays better quarterback ball.
Right. And we're only talking for next year. And if for next year, I kind of go with the Rams based on competition, but we're talking who's got the window of 5, because Higgins is on year 2, Burrow year 2, Jamar Chase year 1. They got 4 years before any of these guys have to even get paid.
They've drafted really well, man.
Window here right now to where they can really address this offensive line, and I expect these guys to be in contention. They're going to be a hard team to deal with. And Joe Burrow, if you ask me, between those 3 quarterbacks, Josh Allen, I think, is right there. He's more multidimensional too. He's more tough. But Joe is more calm. Joe's better with the ball. He's a better decision maker. I think all that. Josh is a guy that's like, fuck this. I'm not going to be denied. Josh will try to take it over his damn self.
Yeah.
You know,
so that's like we said, staying in the pocket, man. Staying in the pocket, dude. He stays in the pocket a little more instead of, and being composed, dude. You get that line with him and being more composed than Allen, going to escape the pocket. You got a guy that stays in the pocket and makes those throws. Burrow can be better for sure.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, the only thing with Josh that I hated to see this year was he played his fucking heart out in that game.
Oh yeah,
and just got outplayed. I mean, just got outstatted by one of the greatest in the last 10 years. So it's one of those things that there's nothing that he could have done to win that game. Honestly, you could have given him the ball
everything
last.
he could do. Right.
You gave him the ball last. Like that was the only thing he could have won the coin toss. Like he could have called heads. That's the only thing he could have done to win that game. That kind of shit happens. That's another thing is, hopefully they do change that overtime rule. But, these 4 or 5 quarterbacks, I mean, we're even talking about getting Deshaun Watson back. I mean, if he's in the AFC next year, he can get right and you can put him on a team with some talent. That's another one of these generational quarterbacks. And the AFC, man, is just really.
All right, man. You're gonna bring up Deshaun, then I'm gonna talk about Deshaun. Go ahead and just think about this, homeboy. Watch Tom Brady. You've seen the formula for success for these quarterbacks. You see all these 40 million, 30 million quarterbacks.
Oh, so go to Minnesota where they had Justin Jefferson.
This is what they do. They take L's. You see Tom Brady, he reworks the contract. We're gonna hook you up. We're gonna put it into some bonuses, rework the cap, hook you up. We'll give them some draft picks. Come on down. Figure out that contract, work that out, Chris, and then we can maybe make something happen.
Hey Chris, have you seen the updated top 32?
No, I've not.
You haven't seen it yet? Brian, have you seen it?
Brian has seen
it. What do you mean? The power rankings?
The power rankings. Have you seen the power rankings? Brian's seen them. I know Brian's seen them. Chris, have you seen them?
I have not seen him. I heard Brian talking about him though.
The Browns and the Vikings are both ahead of the Buccaneers right now. So let's talk about how they're a powerhouse without Tom Brady. Let's do that, shall we? We can. Hey, that might as well say Tom on it because that's basically what that's for. But no, I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah, power rankings are bullshit. I mean,
Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship against the Packers. He threw 2 interceptions in the divisional round against the Saints. He threw another 2 turnovers against the Rams. Against the elite of the elite competition. Oh, he did good against the Chiefs when the defense held Mahomes to 9 points. Right on. When we really needed him most, I don't want to come off ungrateful. I know what Tom brings to the table as far as leadership, as far as raising everyone around him, bring the confidence level. We don't win that without Tom. I love you, Tom. Come on back. You're number one option. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted now. But at the same time, he didn't play great. So there's a team there that's set up. If you want to sit there and be disrespectful, the team is set up.
I wasn't the one that fucking did the power rankings.
Tom Brady definitely put the Bucs like over that hump, but they were definitely talented before he got there. Though it wasn't like everyone said. I remember telling you the day of, Brian, before you guys got Tom. I was like, dude, that makes you guys that Super Bowl contenders like number one in the NFC. That guy, he put over the top. List, talent was there.
The Saints. The list had the Saints above the Buccaneers with Taysom Hill at quarterback and Alvin Kamara in prison.
Team ever.
Yes, exactly. I agree for sure. And then Tom put him over the edge with the better defense and receivers. That he put him over the edge. Yeah. They both needed Tom needed them, and they needed Tom.
Right.
They both needed each other.
Right pieces and everything happened for sure, no doubt. But the core is still there, so I think the window is still open. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I'm not into spending a lot of money, but we'll get into the free agency. We'll get into all that crap next week, man. But the Saints, they got Alvin Kamara in prison, Taysom Hill at quarterback, and this power rankings list
he's not
over here.
Have 2022, bro. He ain't in prison.
Have the Saints ahead of us.
Hey, before we log off though, man, I have to ask the question. I have to ask a Cleveland fan this question.
Yes.
About OBJ, man. Were you rooting for OBJ in that Super Bowl, or were you not rooting for OBJ in that Super Bowl? If
you're a real Browns fan, you were fucking not, and you were a dirtbag if you rooted for him. My thing with OBJ, and I'll try to be quick with it. I was pissed at the whole, the way he came out, or his father came out with that whole, tape of him not being open.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. That's something you keep in house. You don't let the media get, attention to that. It's ridiculous that OBJ should control his father. I was pissed off at that, but also
That's a good dad.
But pissed off at Baker as well. I've told Brian so many times, man, I believe in OBJ. I told you before, and you would knock him. Remember when I was like, I still believe in him. OBJ can still do it. And you're like, yeah, see that dude's never on the field. He's don't know what. You remember. So anyways, after he left, he wrote the apology.
You're right.
Hey, does anybody remember who picked him up in fantasy this year? Does anybody remember that? Hold on, before we go. Okay.
Oh, but hold on.
How'd that turn out? Hold on.
But he wrote the apology letter, and I was like, all right, I'm cool with him again too. Then the report came out of him telling Von Miller not to come there and help us out. You know what I mean? I just think it was a toxic situation with him and Baker. You know what I mean? I would have loved to keep Odell. I obviously know he's talented as fuck still, and I know he still could, make a team better. But hell, fucking no, I wasn't rooting for either team because I didn't.
OBJ, it was hard to not root for the Bengals. His dad, bro. You're bringing up his dad. His dad just won Dad of the Year for that fucking video, whatever it was. He got
but it's a business.
Look at how the media and how the
national
perception of OBJ is now compared to what it was before he did that shit. He saved his son's career, man. He got him a Super Bowl ring. He freaking.
But you don't do it that way. The way it was done though, it makes it look bad. And there was Browns players in the locker room besides Baker saying, he's not a team guy.
Right.
Like, it's whatever he wants is what should be. And if he don't like it, he's out. He don't want nothing to do with it. He don't try, you're making millions of dollars for the team that you're with. Stick with them and try to ride that shit out and do your best you can instead of putting half-ass effort in and telling guys not to come there. That just looks shady, man. It just looks bad.
We don't know what happened. I'm not going to act like I know it, because for all we know, OBJ went to them several times privately, and it ultimately led to that video being leaked and the dad getting involved, and who knows but right now, man, his image, everything about him is changed. He's seen in a lot better light. You can see him emotional to win that Super Bowl. He seemed like a team guy now, and all this crap. His career was kind of revived. If not for that ACL, he's getting paid by somebody, and teams are going to be wanting him around. So,
before his injury last year, he played great with us. Before his injury last year, he was playing great with us, dude. But the game against Dallas, man, he's throwing touchdowns to Jarvis. We had a great offense together. And then obviously something happened, but I don't blame that just on OBJ, regardless of my feelings for him. I blame that on Baker too. I seen Baker miss him on, or not even look his way on plays he's wide open. So I get that. But then it just comes to the knock on Cleveland, where, like I said, he's telling guys not to come there and stuff like that. Whatever your beef is Baker, fuck Baker. Like I said, dude, whatever's best for us, best for the Browns is what I want. I'm not, there's certain players. I love Chubb. I love Myles Garrett. You know what I mean? My thing with Baker, unless you can, keep winning with us and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm not going to give my love for the Browns over, love for Baker over the Browns. It's team organization all fucking day, dude. It's about my Browns and what's best for them. So, good for OBJ.
Right, man.
My last point was gonna be, I think the biggest winners of that Super Bowl were Matt Stafford and OBJ. Yeah. I think the biggest losers were Jared Goff and Baker. Yeah, I mean, look at television ratings, like by city. Detroit was number one watching. They were. LA wasn't
Stafford,
on
for sure
because of Stafford.
I think
Cleveland was up there top like 5 or 6.
Are you talking about Tampa?
No, I said Cleveland was like 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah.
We were.
That's why I asked. Is I wonder how, if he was sitting there watching it, as an OBJ fan, or how he feels about that situation, because you talk about Baker and his rookie year, he seemed like he was onto something.
A lot of fans up here, speaking from Cleveland's perspective, it's 50-50. It really is 50-50. People love his toughness. They love his grit. But at the same time, with me, I'm like I said, I want the best for the team, dude. Toughness, grit only goes so far, man. Talent,
right? Is it kind of like the LeBron situation, like how people feel about LeBron, or people just adore LeBron there?
No, it's 50-50. There's a lot of people here that are Jordan guys. My buddy Eric, he's a diehard Jordan guy. He hates LeBron. You know what I mean? It's 50-50. These guys, there's a lot of guys that are diehard Cavs fans over being LeBron fans. They want what's best. Cleveland, man, they're diehard fans here, dude. And the real ones to me are the ones that root for the teams over the players. There's one guy that I have as a player over anybody else team-wise, and that's Kobe Bryant. all day. We know that no matter where he went or what he did, that's Kobe. You just, you instilled it in you. But, real fans are about their city and about, about their teams. Like Cleveland, man, they just want their teams to be good. They've been through shit for years. So,
and if you're a Cleveland man, then you're a Cleveland fan. Speaking of that, be on the lookout for our next show, because you just mentioned it, Chris, and I think you said it perfectly for Cleveland. If you can upgrade.
Right.
You got
Guys
Josh
out there to
Allen.
upgrade.
I
got
agree.
these other guys. Yeah, you got these other guys you got to go against. You're outmanned at that position, plain and simple.
Right.
So next week, guys, we got the franchise tag window opening in 3 days.
Woo.
I think it is. So, and then the week after that, we got free agency. So we saw last year, we saw Trey Henderson, we saw Eli Apple, everyone roasted on him, Von Bell. You saw the Bengals had 5 free agent acquisition starters on their defense that they got on their defense. So, and Matthew Stafford, we saw that in the offseason. The 2 Super Bowl teams completely reworked in the offseason. In the NFL, there is no offseason. And it's starting up next week. We got a show coming next week. We're going to go over all of our free agents. We're going to go over the best fits that we think should sign. And we're going to keep you updated with all the latest, because free agency, and if that's where you can win and lose championships, honestly.
Right.
So we got some big news coming up. We talked about the Baker Mayfield situation. If they can upgrade, I know my Buccaneers are in the mix. We've got Aaron Rodgers news. We got a lot of quarterback potential carousel going on. So we're going to get into all that here next week and keep you guys all posted. So hit us up. Let us know what you guys think.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, until next time, guys, take it easy.